In this video, I will be joining a computer to a domain that has no network access to my domain controller. I'm starting this video from a GitHub page, and that's because there are a few bits of information here that I will be using for this video, and I will leave the URL in the description down below. And here you can see the objectives for this video. First, I will be creating the offline domain join file. And this file is what allows us to perform the domain join itself on a computer. And I will show you how to generate a single file for a single computer and multiple files for multiple computers. And then in the end, I will show you how to perform the domain join itself on a computer that has no network access to the domain controller. And one very important thing to note is that even though we are able to join the computer to a domain, we will not be able to sign into that computer using domain accounts until the computer will have the network access to the domain controller. And this is a big downside for the offline domain join functionality, and this is also the reason why many people are not using it in their environment. But you can avoid this issue by using VPN solutions that allows you to connect to the VPN network before logon. And in this video, I will not be demonstrating VPN before logon, and the reason for that is that I currently don't have the environment for it. But I might make a video in the future. And I will be creating more videos that include offline domain join functionality. For example, I will make a video about creating a provisioning package using Windows Configuration Designer that will utilize this functionality for automated computer provisioning. Anyways, before moving to the next part of the video, first I want to show you my environment. And for that I will go to my VMware workstation. Here I have my Windows Server environment, and this is my domain controller. And on my domain controller's desktop, I have created this empty folder called djoin. As you can see, I currently have no files in it. And next, let's go to the users and computers console. And for that, I will go back to my server manager, click on tools, and then Active Directory users and computers. And here I want to show you that currently here in my computer's container, I have no objects, and same goes for this organization unit. That's called new computers. As you can see, it is also empty. And I wanted to show you this because in the next part I will be using commands that will not only generate the offline domain join files, but it will also create computer objects in my domain. Anyways, now I will go back to my GitHub page, and here you can see all the commands that I will be using. Here you can see the first command, and this is a command that will create the offline domain join file for a single computer. And here I'm executing djoin. Then I'm providing a parameter provision. This parameter basically tells our domain controller that we want to create the offline domain join file and also the computer object in our domain. Then we need to provide our domain name. Here we need to provide the computer name that we want for our computer. And the next parameter is where we want to save our offline domain join file. And one thing to note in here is that the location that we're providing in here needs to exist on the computer that we're executing this command. In my case, it will be my domain controller. Otherwise, if the location is not existing on the computer, then it will successfully create the computer object in the domain, but it will fail to create the offline domain join file. And now to show you how this command works, I will click on the button right here to copy the snippet, and then I will go back to my VMware workstation where I have my server. And here I will open a CMD window, I will run it as administrator, and then I will insert the snippet from the GitHub page. Let's press enter, and as you can see, the command was executed successfully. Now if I go back to my desktop and to my djoin folder, you can see that we have a file in here. And this is the offline domain join file that we need to use for joining the computer to a domain. And also if I go back to users and computers and then computers, let's refresh this window. Here you can see that the computer object also appeared in here. And that's basically it for creating a single object and also a single offline domain join file. Also, the computer object appeared in the computer's container because we didn't provide the organization unit in our command right here. And now for the next snippet, I will be using PowerShell to create multiple computer objects and also multiple offline domain join files. And it will work by creating a list of computers that we want to create, and then it will use this for each loop to execute basically the same command multiple times for each computer that we have in the list in here. And the command that will be executed multiple times for each computer that we have in the list is basically the same command that I used before. The only difference, well, the main difference is this parameter right here called machine OU. And here we can provide a location in our domain where we want to create our computer objects. So this time, instead of saving the computer object in the computer's container, it will save the computer objects in the new computer's organization unit. Anyways, let's go back here. Let's click on the button right here to copy this snippet. Go back to the server, and this time let's open a PowerShell window. I will once again run it as administrator, insert the snippet and press enter. And as you can see, the command was executed multiple times. Now, if I go to the new computer's organization unit and refresh, here we can see multiple computer objects, and here in our folder, we also see multiple offline domain join files. And that's basically it for creating multiple computer objects and offline domain join files. The last thing that I will be showing is how to perform the domain join itself. And for that I will copy one of the files that I have in here. I will select MB05 and then I will go to my client machine. I will insert the file on my desktop, as you can see it appeared in here, and then I will open a CMD window. Once again I will run it as administrator, and then I will go back to my GitHub page because here I have the last command that I will be using. And once again, in here I'm executing the join command, then providing a parameter request to DJ. As you can see, it's different than before. Then we need to provide the location for our offline domain join file. As you can see, this is the correct location. I have it on my desktop and the file name is NB05. Then we need to provide the location for our Windows installation. In most cases, for everyone, this should be the same. And then we need to provide a parameter that says that we want to execute this command on the local operating system. And now I will click on the button right here to copy the command and go back to my client machine. But this time, before executing this command, I want to show you a few other things. Because when executing the domain join command, it will not only join the computer to the domain, but it will also change the computer name. For example, if I type hostname, we can see that currently the computer name is a desktop dash and whatever this is. And we will check it again after completing the domain join. Also, let's check if I have access to the domain controller. So let's ping it. And as you can see, because it does not have access to the domain's DNS server, it does not know how to translate this name to the IP address. And this basically means that we don't have access, well, network access to the domain controller. So now let's execute the command from the GitHub page. As you can see, the command executed successfully. And if I check the computer name now, you can see that it's now the NB01. Basically, the computer name changes to the computer name that we provide in the machine parameter when generating the offline domain join file. And that's basically it. Now we can restart this computer and see how it looks then. So let's wait a bit. And now after the restart, we can select other user in here and we can sign into the domain controller. But like I said before, the computer currently does not have network access to the domain controller, so it will not be able to authenticate the users. But let's try it anyway. I have a domain user John, and let's try to sign into him. And as you can see, even though we successfully joined the computer to the domain, it's unable to sign into our user because the computer cannot authenticate the user. And now I will quickly change the network settings for this virtual machine so that it will have access to the domain controller. I will go here, settings, and in this case for my network adapter I need to change it to NAT. And this will move this virtual machine to the same network where I have my servers. So let's click OK and let's try to sign in once again. And as you can see, the sign-in was successful. And the last thing that I want to show you is how to identify the computer objects that we created that have successfully joined the domain and had contacted the domain controller at least one time. So for example, if I open NB01 that we didn't use and go to the operating system, you can see that here we don't have any information. But if I select the computer object that I did use for the domain join and go to the operating system, here we can see the operating system name and also the version number. Basically, the information in here gets updated when the computer successfully contacts the domain controller. And that's basically it for this video. Like and subscribe if you want to see more videos like this, and see you in the next one.